The rain tapped insistently against the stained glass windows of the funeral home, a muted rhythm that seemed to mock the silence within. Abigail Harper stood alone in the dimly lit bathroom, her reflection staring back at her from the chipped mirror. Her black dress clung to her frame, pristine and unwrinkled, a stark contrast to the chaos unraveling inside her. She hadn't cried yet, not because she didn't want to, but because the tears felt trapped, locked behind a wall of disbelief and rage she hadn't yet learned how to dismantle. Her hands, still trembling from the morning's meticulous application of mascara at 4:30 a.m., gripped the edge of the sink as her phone buzzed again. Another text. Another dagger. She didn't need to look to know who it was from. Daniel, her husband of 16 years, had made his intentions clear hours earlier, at 10:24 a.m., precisely 6 minutes after their daughter Lily's casket had been sealed shut. The message had seared itself into her memory. "We're celebrating freedom. Bury her by yourself, you're good at being miserable." Attached was a photo Daniel, his younger brother Nathan, and a woman Abigail vaguely recognized as Claire from his marketing firm, all grinning with champagne flutes in hand, the plush leather seats of a first-class cabin framing their smug triumph. The timestamp burned in her mind, a cruel timestamp that aligned with the moment she'd kissed Lily's forehead one last time through the velvet lining of the coffin. Abigail's knees buckled, but she caught herself against the cold porcelain. She couldn't collapse, not yet. Not with 70 mourners waiting in the chapel, their sympathetic whispers filtering through the walls, expecting her to lead them to the cemetery. Not with Lily's small white casket resting alone in the next room, adorned with the daisies she'd loved picking from their backyard. Abigail had spent 11 months in the pediatric oncology ward, holding Lily's hand through every needle prick, every fevered night, every whispered promise that things would get better. Daniel had been absent for most of it, citing work emergencies or emotional overload, excuses she'd swallowed because questioning him felt like another burden she couldn't carry. Now she knew the truth. While she'd mortgaged their home to fund Lily's experimental treatments, while she drained her SAVYNGS to cover the due law 1,800 monthly prescriptions insurance wouldn't touch, Daniel had been plotting his exit. A knock on the door startled her. "Mrs. Harper, are you all right?" The funeral director's voice was soft, rehearsed in its compassion. "1 minute," she replied, surprised by the steadiness in her tone. She straightened, smoothing her dress, and glanced at her phone again. 92 missed calls from an international number. Daniel, no doubt, discovering the first ripple of her retaliation. She'd locked every bank account, frozen every credit card, redirected every mortgage payment. It wasn't impulse, it was survival. The procession to the cemetery unfolded in a haze. Abigail walked ahead, her heels sinking into the damp earth, her sister Rachel trailing a few steps behind with worried eyes. Lily's preschool teacher was there, clutching a handmade card from her class. Abigail's co-workers, who donated vacation days so she could stay by Lily's side, offered quiet nods. Not one person from Daniel's family appeared, not Nathan, not their parents, not even a courtesy call. She understood why now. At the graveside, as the priest murmured prayers and the casket descended, Abigail didn't falter. She scattered dirt over the white wood, each handful fueling a resolve she hadn't known she possessed. The earth could claim Lily's body, but it wouldn't claim her. Back home, after the reception's casseroles and condolences had faded, Rachel lingered. "Stay with us tonight, Abby. You don't need to be alone." Her sister's hand was warm against hers, but Abigail shook her head. "I've got things to handle," she said, her voice calm, almost detached. Rachel left reluctantly, and Abigail climbed the stairs to Lily's room. She hadn't entered it since the last ambulance ride 3 weeks ago, when Lily's breathing had grown too shallow to sustain her. The room smelled faintly of lavender lotion and hospital antiseptic. A stuffed giraffe sat propped against the pillows, its button eyes staring blankly. On the nightstand was a photo Abigail, Daniel, and Lily at the lake 2 summers ago, before the diagnosis, before the world fractured. She picked it up, studying Daniel's easy smile. Had he been cheating even then? Had Claire already been part of his freedom? Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. "I'm so sorry about Lily. Daniel said you needed space to grieve alone. But if there's anything I can do, let me know. This is Claire, by the way." Abigail's breath hitched. The nerve of it. Claire didn't even know she'd been Daniel's escape hatch during their daughter's funeral. Another lie in his web. She didn't reply. Instead, she opened her banking app, her fingers steady now. As a financial analyst for a mid-sized logistics company, numbers were her sanctuary. Daniel had always mocked her job bean counter. He'd called her, but those beans had kept them afloat. Every account was in her name or jointly held. The mortgage she paid from her salary because Daniel's consulting income was too erratic. The car he drove, financed under her credit after his repossession years ago. The credit cards he flashed so confidently all hers. By 1 a.m. she transferred funds, changed passwords and frozen everything. She left Dula 16 in their joint checking $1 for each year of marriage and redirected automatic payments to her personal account. This wasn't just vengeance, it was reclamation. She curled up on Lily's bed, clutching the giraffe, and finally let the tears come not only for Lily, but for the life she'd believed in, the husband she'd trusted. As sleep claimed her, a flicker of something new stirred beneath the grief, power. Dawn broke gray and heavy, the giraffe still pressed to her chest. For a moment, Abigail forgot, then reality slammed back. The paralyzing sorrow she'd carried for months had shifted, hardened into something sharper. Her phone showed 23 missed calls, all international. Daniel and his crew had landed in Bali and found their paradise crumbling. She silenced it and brewed coffee, settling at the kitchen table that had doubled as her office for years. The irony wasn't lost on her. The career Daniel had dismissed was now her sword and shield. She'd taken over their finances early in their marriage, after Daniel's bounce checks nearly got them evicted. "I'm the creative one," he'd said with that disarming grin. "You're the numbers genius, Abby." She'd managed their budget, tracked his invoices, filed his taxes, fixed his messes. When they bought the house, her inheritance from her grandfather covered the down payment. When Lily got sick, Abigail alone navigated the maze of medical bills, insurance denials and payment plans, all while working full-time and sleeping in hospital chairs. Daniel had been too overwhelmed to help, leaving her to empty her 401k for Lily's care while he apparently stashed cash for his getaway. Her first call was to the mortgage lender. "I need a hardship forbearance," she explained, her voice unwavering. "My daughter passed recently, and I've been the sole income for the payments." The representative's tone softened. Death opened doors pity could unlock. Next, the credit card companies. She didn't cancel the cards that would tip Daniel off too soon. Instead, she reported suspicious activity, freezing them pending investigation. His authorized user status on her personal cards? Revoked. By noon, she dismantled his financial lifeline while safeguarding her own. She printed confirmations, filing them in a folder labeled Rebirth. The phone rang. Daniel. She answered, bracing herself. "What the hell, Abby?" His voice crackled with fury, airport noise buzzing behind him. "My cards are dead. The hotel's threatening to arrest us." "Sounds rough," she replied, cool and even. "How's Bali?" "Hope the champagne was worth it." "This isn't a joke, we restuck." "You, Nathan, and Claire, you mean?" "The trio who toasted while I buried our daughter." Silence. "Then, I can explain. I buried Lily yesterday, Daniel. Alone. While you sipped champagne in first class." "Explain that." Muffled voices. Nathan, probably. Then Daniel again, softer. "Baby, I know you're hurt. Just send money for tickets home." No, the word landed like a guillotine. "What?" "Figure it out." She hung up, blocked the number and exhaled. The house felt quieter, emptier but less suffocating. She wandered to the office, pulling files for the divorce lawyer she'd call tomorrow. A small, weathered notebook fell from the shelf, a journal, its cover embossed with Lily's private thoughts, "Keep out," in glitter pen. Abigail's heart stuttered. Lily had been 8 when diagnosed. By the end, she'd been too weak to write. This was from before. She hesitated, then opened it, needing to hear her daughter's voice again. The first entry was from Lily's 7th birthday. "Dad said we'd go to the zoo, but he had work. Mom took me to the park and got me a balloon. It was red. Dad said next time for sure." Abigail's throat tightened. Even then, Lily had excused him. She flipped ahead. An entry from after the diagnosis. "The doctor said I'm sick." Dad kept looking at his phone. I'm scared, but Mom says I'm brave, so I have to be. Abigail's voice blurred. She'd hidden her breakdowns, thinking she'd protected Lily, but her daughter had seen through it. Later, months into treatment, Dad came today. He brought me a puzzle and stayed a long time. He said sometimes grown-ups get sad and act weird, but it doesn't mean they don't love me. I said I get it. Rage flared. Daniel had manipulated Lily into forgiving his absence, burdening her with his excuses. Near the end, the handwriting grew shaky. I dreamed I was a butterfly. Flying felt good, no pain. I think that's what dying is like. Mom keeps saying I'll get better, but I know she's scared. Dad talks about Claire a lot on the phone. I heard him. I wish Mom knew I know. Abigail's hand shook. Lily had known about Claire, had carried that secret to spare her. The final entry, days before the coma. Mom, if you find this, I'm sorry I couldn't stay. Don't be sad too long. Open our bakery, the one with the green door and tons of sprinkles. Name something after me. Dad's not strong like Yoha runs away. Don't let him make you feel bad. You're the best. I love you. Abigail clutched the journal, sobbing until her chest ached. Lily had seen everything: Daniel's cowardice, her own resilience, and loved them anyway. When the tears slowed, she felt a shift. Revenge wasn't enough. She had to honor Lily's voice. She opened a spreadsheet titled Lily's Legacy and typed, "Bakery with green door. Live strong, not bitter." 3 days later, Abigail knelt at Lily's grave arranging daisies. A text buzzed. "We're at LAX. Daniel's a wreck. Can we talk? Nathan." She didn't respond. Let them sweat. That night the doorbell rang. Through the peephole she saw Daniel, Nathan, and Claire, disheveled, exhausted. Daniel's polished facade was gone. Unshaven, eyes sunken. She opened the door but barred entry. "We need to talk," Daniel rasped. "You need to," she corrected. Nathan stepped in. "Abby, please. We borrowed cash for coach seats home. The hotel seized our passports. Embassy had to step in." "Tough break," she said, unmoved. "Like planning a funeral solo?" Claire lingered behind, pale and jittery. Abigail relented, stepping aside. 30 minutes. Daniel reached for the whiskey cabinet. She blocked him. "Not here. Not anymore." He shrank back. They sat, Daniel on the couch, Nathan and Claire on the love seat, tension crackling. "You've ruined me," Daniel accused. "No, you did that," she replied. "I carried us mortgage, Lily's bills, while you plotted with her." She nodded at Claire, who flinched. "He said you were done," Claire stammered. "That Lily was better. Was that during her radiation or her last surgery?" Abigail asked. Claire paled, turning to Daniel. "You lied." Abigail set Lily's journal on the table. "He promised our dying daughter he'd take care of me, then flew to Bali for her funeral." Nathan stood, incredulous. "You were screwing around while Lily was dying?" "It's complicated," Daniel muttered. "It's simple," Abigail cut in. "Lily heard you talking about Claire. She protected you." The room stilled. Claire cried softly. Nathan paced. "What do you want?" Nathan asked. "The house? Money. I have those," Abigail said. "I want him to see what he lost. Lily, me, everything." She slid over divorce papers. "Sign over the house. Your debts are yours. Dula $6,000 for a fresh start and counseling." "For Lily." Daniel balked, but Nathan growled. "She could take it all." Claire left, whispering apologies. Daniel signed, broken. "I loved you both," he said at the door. "Goodbye, Daniel," Abigail replied, closing it. Months passed. On Lily's death anniversary, Abigail baked cupcakes at her grave with grief group friends, green frosting, sprinkles galore. Laughter mingled with tears, honoring Lily's joy. The divorce finalized. Daniel faded to Colorado. Abigail leased an office, Lily's ledger, to help families with medical finances, painted green like Lily's dream bakery. Her home evolved. Lily's room half memorial, half studio. The garden wild and free. Charles emailed. Daniel was in counseling, rebuilding. Abigail felt peace, not triumph, but purpose. On her porch, she whispered to Lily, "We're okay, bug. Different, but okay." Grief lingered, but purpose lifted it. A legacy born from love.